7 Terrifying Facts About Human Trafficking. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Beyond Crazy. 7 Human trafficking finances militaries and creates soldiers. Violent groups see human trafficking as a direct tactic to achieve their goals. Groups like the Lord's Resistance Army in Central Africa and militias in Libya force victims to fight or otherwise support their operations. Victims are used as soldiers, messengers, cooks, and spies. In 2009, a Washington Times article highlighted the depravity of human trafficking. The Taliban reportedly purchased children as young as 7 to serve as suicide bombers for around $7,000. Abusive regimes use human trafficking to support their economies and suppress dissent. The North Korean government is estimated to have approximately 100,000 forced laborers working around the world, generating over $500 million annually, successfully mitigating the impact of economic sanctions. 6 Typical bad guys aren't always who use victims. It's not always the stereotypical bad guys who exploit victims. Even peacekeeping missions and military installations contribute to the proliferation of human trafficking. A 2018 study revealed a positive correlation between the presence of UN peacekeeping forces and forced prostitution. And Defense Department contractors were uncovered exploiting workers for labor on military bases. An earlier report published by Amnesty International in 2004 also revealed that the presence of UN and NATO troops in Kosovo fueled the sexual exploitation of women. The people who were supposed to bring safety and security were involved. While policies may have changed since the reports were published, they highlight a grave misconception. Those with the power to be knights in shining armor are not immune to being involved in human trafficking. 5 Many victims are trafficked by family. When we think of human trafficking, we often imagine strangers preying on innocent victims. But in a significant number of cases, the traffickers are actually members of the victim's own family. According to a study by the International Organization for Migration (IOM), about 41% of child trafficking experiences involve family members or caregivers. Many of these victims don't even realize they are being trafficked. They may start grooming the victim from a very young age. Shockingly, studies estimate that in approximately 31% of child sex trafficking cases, the trafficker is a family member. For example, one article mentions Geeta, who was sold into a brothel by her aunt when she was 10 years old. Sometimes, this exploitation has been happening for generations, becoming an accepted part of the family dynamic. When others notice the abuse, they choose to ignore it to protect the family's reputation. 4 Auctions are held in public places. Human trafficking is a dark stain on society that usually operates in the shadows. But even public spaces aren't safe as it grows. Auctions where human beings are bought and sold like commodities are taking place in plain sight. According to the Crown Prosecution Service (CPS), traffickers buy and sell victims immediately upon arrival in the UK. Thousands of men, women, and children are sold publicly each year. According to CPS, one auction was held outside a coffee shop in the arrivals hall at Gatwick Airport, with similar auctions taking place at other airports like Heathrow and Stansted. It's not just airports in the UK, though. Airports all over the world are trying to fight the human trafficking that happens within their terminals. 3 Human traffickers increasingly want pregnant women. It's a truly horrifying reality that we need to confront. According to Louise Shelley, an expert on human trafficking, this disturbing trend is rising, in large part because of illegal adoption practices. The majority of the money is divided among the traffickers, doctors, lawyers, border officials, and others. The mothers usually receive far less than what was initially agreed upon. The traffickers justify this by citing expenses incurred throughout the process. 2 Only 0.04% of human trafficking is ever identified. Human trafficking operates like a ghost, so much so that only an estimated 0.04% of cases are even identified. Of those identified, a study revealed that fewer than half of all suspected traffickers in the United States are arrested. What makes it even harder is most state and local prosecutors fail to recognize the problem. Over 70% of local, state, and county law enforcement agencies view human trafficking as rare or non-existent in their communities, and 68% of them don't even consider trafficking a problem in their jurisdictions. Human trafficking may be a hidden horror, but sometimes good things do happen. In 2010, the largest human trafficking case in recent U.S. history shook the nation when Global Horizons Manpower, Inc., a labor recruiting company, promised 400 immigrants from Thailand high-paying farm work in Hawaii. Once they arrived, their passports were taken, and they were forced into servitude. It took 6 years for prosecutors to make any arrests and free the immigrants. 1. Victims don't always want to leave. Human trafficking is often portrayed as someone being forcibly taken and then being physically threatened and held. This is definitely the case sometimes, but in reality, this isn't the most common way traffickers control their victims. Traffickers prey on the vulnerable. They want people who feel isolated and marginalized already. Runaways, refugees, migrants, LGBTQ individuals, people with disabilities, and children are all at an increased risk of being trafficked. In truth, everyone is at risk: men, women, and children. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen, because I'm sure you'll love them.